Haddos and storms. Emma Bennett gripped the peeling counter of the seaside diner as another rejection email illuminated her phone screen. 6 loan applications denied. The lighthouse, her grandfather's legacy and the only home she'd ever known, would be foreclosed in 30 days. "You look like you could use this," said Marlene, sliding a steaming cup of coffee across the counter. "Double shift again tonight?" Emma nodded, tucking a strand of auburn hair behind her ear. "The hospital's cutting hours, and this place—" She gestured around the nearly empty diner perched on the edge of Harper's Cove. "Tourist season's over." Outside, November winds hurled rain against the windows. The Oregon coast showed no mercy this time of year. Emma shivered, remembering the lighthouse standing alone on the promontory, its foundation weakening with each passing storm. "I'm one payment away from losing everything, Mar." "There's always the foundation grant," Marlene suggested. "Harper's Historical Society." "Already tried. They said the lighthouse doesn't have enough historical significance compared to other properties." The bell above the door chimed, bringing in a gust of wind and a tall stranger. He shook raindrops from his dark coat and scanned the room before choosing the booth farthest from the windows. "New customer," Marlene whispered. "Looks like money." Emma grabbed her notepad and approached the booth. The man seemed absorbed in his phone, his expression tense in the glow of the screen. Close up, she noticed his sharp jawline shadowed with stubble and eyes the color of the sea before a storm. "Welcome to Sandy's. Can I get you something warm to drink?" He looked up, momentarily startled. "Black coffee. And whatever soup you have." His voice carried the crisp edge of the East Coast. Emma jotted down his order, noticing the architectural blueprints on his tablet. "Building something in Harper's Cove?" "Evaluating." He offered no further explanation, returning to his screen. When Emma returned with his order, a tremendous crack of thunder shook the building. The lights flickered once, twice, then plunged the diner into darkness. "Perfect," she muttered, setting down his coffee carefully in the dimness. "Does this happen often?" the stranger asked. "Only during every storm worth mentioning." Emma fumbled for her phone flashlight. "The power grid out here is prehistoric." As if responding to her words, a violent gust rattled the windows. Emma's phone lit up with an emergency alert, coastal flooding warnings. "The lighthouse!" she gasped, already untying her apron. "Marlene, I have to go check." "You can't drive up there in this!" Marlene protested. The stranger stood suddenly. "You have a lighthouse?" "My grandfather's. It's not operational anymore, but—" Another crack of thunder interrupted her. "I'll drive you," he offered, reaching for his coat. "My rental has 4-wheel drive." Emma hesitated. "I don't even know your name." "Lucas Harrington." He extended his hand. "Emma Bennett." 20 minutes later, Lucas's SUV fought through wind and rain up the narrow coastal road. When they crested the hill, Emma's heart sank. Water already surrounded the lighthouse keeper's cottage, waves crashing against its stone foundation. "Stop here," she commanded, already reaching for the door handle. Lucas caught her arm. "Wait. Those waves could sweep you away. I need to secure the windows and check the generator." Their eyes locked in the glow of the dashboard lights. Something in his expression shifted. Recognition, perhaps, or understanding. "I'll help you," he said finally. "But we go together." As they stepped into the storm, neither realized how those words would echo beyond this night, beyond the lighthouse's weathered walls, into a future neither had imagined possible. Paper lanterns. 3 weeks after the storm, Emma stood beneath crystal chandeliers in the Grand Portland Hotel, a silver tray balanced on her palm. Catering for the Harrington Architecture Charity Gala wasn't her idea of a perfect Friday night, but it paid well, another drop in the Lighthouse Saving Fund. "Keep those champagne flutes moving," her supervisor hissed. "The big donors haven't opened their checkbooks yet." Emma navigated between silk dresses and tailored suits, offering champagne with a practiced smile. Her nursing scrubs felt worlds away from this opulence. She'd taken every extra shift possible at the hospital, but time was running out. Just 7 days until the foreclosure. "Emma," she turned, nearly dropping her tray at the sight of Lucas Harrington in a perfectly fitted tuxedo. Recognition flickered in his storm-gray eyes. "You work here?" he asked. "Just tonight." She straightened her black vest. "I didn't realize this was your event." "Harrington Architecture Annual Gala," he said with a slight grimace. Not exactly subtle on the invitations. A woman in a shimmering gown approached them. "Lucas, darling, the mayor's waiting to discuss the waterfront project." "In a moment, Diana." He dismissed her with practiced ease, his focus remaining on Emma. "How's the lighthouse?" "Still standing. Though I might not be its keeper much longer." Something shifted in his expression. "What do you mean?" "Foreclosure. Next Friday." Emma's voice remained steady, though her grip on the tray tightened. "I've tried everything. Loans, grants, even selling my grandfather's collection. Nothing's enough." "There must be something." "Bennett!" Her supervisor appeared. "Trays need refilling. Social hour on your own time." As Emma turned to leave, desperation surged through her. "Wait," she said, turning back to Lucas. "Your foundation, does it ever consider historical properties?" "I'll do anything. I'll volunteer at every event, clean your offices, whatever it takes." "It's not that simple," he began. "Please," she whispered, pride dissolving like sea foam. "I'll pay any price to save my home." The vulnerability in her words hung between them. For a moment, Lucas looked as though he'd been struck. "Find me after your shift ends," he said finally. "We'll talk." 3 hours later, Emma found him alone on the hotel's terrace, the city lights reflecting in his glass of whiskey. "Why is this lighthouse so important to you?" he asked without preamble. Emma leaned against the railing, exhaustion washing over her. "My parents died when I was 8. Car accident. My grandfather raised me in that lighthouse. He taught me that when ships are lost, you keep the light burning." She smiled faintly. "He was the keeper for 40 years before the automation. When he died last year, he left me everything, including his debts." Lucas studied her face in the soft glow of paper lanterns strung across the terrace. "What would you do if you could keep it?" "Turn it into a small clinic," she answered without hesitation. "The nearest hospital is an hour away. Our community needs something closer." He set down his glass, decision forming in his eyes. "I'll have my foundation look into it." "Really?" Hope flickered dangerously in her chest. "I'm not promising anything," he cautioned. Emma impulsively reached for his hand. "Thank you." "I mean it. Whatever you need in return." "Some things," Lucas said softly, his fingers closing around hers, "aren't about transactions, Emma." Under paper lanterns swaying in the gentle evening breeze, something shifted between them, fragile as the first light of dawn breaking over troubled waters. Salt and secrets. The letter arrived exactly 1 day before foreclosure. Emma tore it open on her porch steps, salt spray misting her face from the crashing waves below. "Historical Preservation Grant," she read aloud, heart thundering. "Full property restoration. Community medical outpost. Acceptance of nomination." She sank onto the steps, letter trembling in her hands. Salvation had arrived in an official envelope, mysterious, unexpected, and just in time. That afternoon, Emma drove to Portland, determination set in every line of her body. The Harrington Architecture headquarters occupied the top floors of a gleaming downtown tower. At the reception desk, she asked for Lucas. "Do you have an appointment?" The receptionist eyed her weathered jeans skeptically. "No, but—" "Emma." Lucas emerged from an elevator, surprise evident in his features. "Is everything all right? Can we talk privately?" Minutes later, in his minimalist office with its breathtaking view of Mount Hood, Emma placed the grant letter on his desk. "Did you do this?" she asked directly. Lucas's expression remained carefully neutral. "The foundation reviews many applications." This wasn't even a real application. This was a desperate plea from a waitress at midnight. She stepped closer. "Why me? Why my lighthouse?" "Your project has merit. A coastal clinic—" "Lucas." Her voice softened. "Please don't lie to me." Something in him seemed to crack. He turned to the window, shoulders tense beneath his tailored shirt. Have you ever been to the Harper's Cove Cemetery? The question caught her off guard. Of course. My grandfather's buried there. So is my brother. He spoke to the glass, his reflection fractured with pain. 12 years ago. Sailing accident off your lighthouse point during a summer storm. Understanding dawned slowly. The Jason Harrington Memorial Stone. That's your brother? Lucas nodded, still not facing her. I was supposed to be with him that day. Business meeting ran late. He went alone. And you blame yourself? It wasn't a question. For years, I couldn't even look at the ocean. He turned finally, eyes holding hers. Then I found myself in a diner during a storm, driving a stranger to a lighthouse I'd avoided for over a decade. Emma's throat tightened. So this grant, it's about guilt? At first, perhaps. His honesty surprised her. But then I saw what you're trying to do. A clinic that might save others from my brother's fate. And what about helping me? Her voice caught. Was that also just about your brother? The silence stretched between them, filled with unspoken questions. No, he finally answered. That was about you, Emma. She moved toward the door, confusion and hurt battling within her. I can't accept charity born from guilt. It's not, I need time, she interrupted, to figure out what this means, what any of this means. As the elevator doors closed between them, Emma saw Lucas reach out, too late, too hesitant, the gesture suspended in the growing distance. Part 4. Tidal reflections, December, brought relentless storms to Harper's Cove. Emma watched them from the lighthouse tower, now structurally secured thanks to the grant she'd ultimately accepted. Pride had its place, but not at the expense of her grandfather's legacy. She hadn't spoken to Lucas in 3 weeks. The foundation's representatives handled everything, never mentioning his name. Sometimes, working late in the newly reinforced keeper's cottage, she caught herself wondering if he was thinking of her too. You're moping, declared Marlene, bringing coffee to where Emma sorted medical supplies for the clinic's opening. This place is being saved, yet you look like you're at a funeral. I'm not moping. Honey, I've known you since you wore pigtails. This isn't about the lighthouse anymore. Emma sighed, running her fingers along an old navigation map. He helped me because of his brother, because of guilt. Did he say that? Not exactly, but men are terrible at explaining themselves, Marlene said. Especially the ones carrying grief, but actions? Those speak clear as daylight. That night, unable to sleep, Emma drove to the cemetery. Snow dusted the gravestones, moonlight casting long shadows across frozen ground. She found Jason Harrington's memorial stone easily, larger than most, bearing a sailing ship engraving. Your brother's complicated, she said to the silent stone. I wish I understood him better. You could just ask me. Emma whirled around. Lucas stood a few feet away, hands in his coat pockets, breath clouding in the cold air. What are you doing here? She asked. Same as you, I imagine. He moved closer, snowflakes catching in his dark hair. Trying to make sense of things. They stood in silence, side by side before the grave. I visit every year on his birthday, Lucas finally said. Never any other time. Too painful. He glanced at her. Until now. Why come tonight? Because I realized something. His voice softened. Jason loved the ocean even knowing its dangers. He embraced life fully. I've been doing the opposite, hiding from anything that might hurt. Emma watched his profile, strong against the moonlit sky. And now? Now I'm standing in a snowy cemetery at midnight because I couldn't bear the thought of you believing I helped you out of obligation. His eyes met hers, vulnerability raw in their depths. The grant was legitimate. Your project deserved it. But my feelings for you have nothing to do with my brother or the past. "And what feelings are those?" Emma asked, heart suspended between beats. Lucas stepped closer, snowflakes melting between them. "The kind that terrify me, the kind I never expected to feel again." Their breath mingled in the cold night air as his hand found hers, warm despite the winter chill. "I'm still not sure I understand you," Emma whispered. "I'm still learning to understand myself," he admitted. "But I'd like the chance to try. Together." Above them, the lighthouse beams swept across the snow-covered ground, illuminating their path home. Home Harbor Spring came early to Harper's Cove. The Lighthouse Clinic opened its doors in March, a beacon of hope for the small coastal community. Emma divided her time between nursing duties and restoration work. Watching her grandfather's legacy transform, Lucas visited on weekends, architectural plans in hand, working alongside local contractors. Their relationship had grown slowly, carefully, built on foundations more substantial than the stone beneath the lighthouse itself. The Weather Service is tracking a significant system, he mentioned, one Friday evening as they walked along the shore. "Might hit tomorrow night." Emma nodded, watching the horizon where clouds gathered. "We're prepared this time. New generator, reinforced windows. I've been thinking," Lucas said, stopping to face her. "About permanence. What do you mean?" He gestured toward the lighthouse, its fresh white paint gleaming in the sunset. "I've been living between two worlds, Portland during the week, here on weekends. It's not enough anymore." Emma's heart quickened. "What are you saying?" "I'm opening a satellite office in Seaside. 20 minutes from here. Lucas, I love you, Emma." The words rushed out, simple and profound. "I love your determination, your compassion, the way you fight for this place and these people. I love how you've helped me make peace with the past without forgetting it." She reached for him, fingers tracing the now familiar line of his jaw. "I love you too." Their kiss tasted of salt and promise, deepening with the certainty of found hearts. Later, in the keeper's cottage, they moved together with tender urgency, bodies and souls intertwining as the first raindrops fell against the windows. Morning brought the storm's full fury. Emma woke to emergency alerts and Lucas already dressed, concern etched in his features. "Fishing boat in trouble," he explained. 2 miles offshore." Emma was pulling on her boots before he finished speaking. "The clinic might be needed." They worked in seamless coordination, Emma preparing medical supplies while Lucas contacted the Coast Guard. When word came that the boat was being towed in with injured fishermen, they stood together in the clinic doorway, watching the rescue unfold. "Your grandfather would be proud," Lucas said softly. "So would Jason," she replied. Hours later, after treating minor injuries and ensuring the fishermen's safety, they climbed to the lighthouse tower. The storm had passed, leaving the world washed clean. Below, the keeper's cottage, their shared weekend home, stood firm against the receding tide. "I have something for you," Lucas said, reaching into his pocket. Instead of a ring, he produced an antique key. "What's this?" "The original lighthouse key. I found it in a historical archive." He placed it in her palm, closing her fingers around it. "A symbol of something old becoming new again." "Like us," Emma whispered. "Like us," he agreed. Two broken pieces finding wholeness together. As sunset painted the horizon in brilliant golds and pinks, they stood wrapped in each other's arms, no longer afraid of storms or memories or uncertain futures. The lighthouse beam began its nightly journey, sweeping across darkening waters, guiding ships, preserving history, and illuminating the truth they'd both discovered, that sometimes what we think we're saving turns out to be what saves us instead.